86 or 82% of businesses in Australia have less than 4 staff. Why? Because you can only micromanage 4 to 6 people, and you can only keep going at people before they leave, and you have high turnover, and you won't build a real business. If you look through the lens of people, almost all business problems are solved by people. But the reason why good people don't work for most people is because if you're a shit communicator and you're a shit leader and you don't know how to manage people properly, then why would someone who's an A-grade high performer who's going to come in and revolutionize your business want to put up with fucking Dougie the dickhead?
What are you kind of looking for? Like, how do we hire the right people, especially in the startup? Like, if people are looking to hire their first person, what are we looking for, and what are the most pivotal hires?
Anyone who's listening to this who is a business owner, this here will make you $1 million at least if you just listen to this one line. And that is, you only hire people.
All right, Michael, welcome to the pod. So we were just talking about how you've spent well over $3 million now on personal development and coaching in the last couple of decades. You've been in this whole space. Mm-hmm. And I think that you say that this whole industry is broken. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, what did spending all that money teach you that we need to know, and why is it broken?
All industries are broken because most people are broken, right? So industries are made up of people. People are broken. Industries are broken. I mean, if you ask people why they do what they do, most people justify the reason why they work for money, right? But money is an exchange of value. So if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then how can you add value effectively? Which always means that you're going to be limited by money, but you're going to keep working for money. But because you're not adding value, money is going to be a limitation, and it's just going to go around and around in circles. So I believe that 5%, 10% of any industry has people in it who they love what they do. They know their path. They're doing their thing. You've got 80% of people who are they're probably stuck in the golden handcuffs where they get a paycheck every week and it justifies why they work. And if you ask most people, why do you do what you do? Why do you work? And they go, well, because I have to, because I got to pay bills. Well, you don't have to work. There's plenty of people who don't work and choose not to. And then you've got 10% of an industry that are just fucking morons. And that's any industry, right? Like the healthcare industry is full of it. The coaching industry is full of it. Like, you know, back many, many years ago, I noticed this in the personal training industry because that's where I came from, like, 20 years ago or so. What I found was that there are a lot of people who floated into the industry when I worked in gyms, and they'd come in, they're like, yeah, I can't wait to be a personal trainer. I'm going to make all this money and I get to go exercise outside and it's sunshine and it's going to be fucking awesome. You're running a business. There's going to be people who don't pay. There's going to be shit you have to deal with. The weather's going to change, so you can't do your gym session outside. Like, there's a whole bunch of different factors. You've got to get up early. Normally, you have to exercise when people want to exercise, which is first thing in the morning and late at night. So you're going to have a dead patch most of the time in the middle of the day. And you're going to have a lot of work in the morning, a lot of work at nighttime. And if you want to make a lot of money, that's how you do it. You're going to have to work on weekends. So I found that there were a lot of people who floated into the industry, thought that it was something that it wasn't. And then they went, you know what, this isn't for me. And then they left and went back to whatever they were doing because they were just trying to figure it out. And I think the coaching industry is like that as well. There's a lot of people who float in. They go, I want to be a coach. And I go, what does that mean to you? And they're like, well, I get to help people. And I'm like, how do you help people? And they go, well, you get to tell them things. And I go, cool. What are you going to tell them? What happens when someone comes in and they go, here's how I'm thinking. And they're going to pay you money, by the way. They're expecting an outcome. They're going to tell you what they think they want. You're then going to give them advice and they don't implement it. Then they're going to tell you that you didn't get the result. Now what? It's a bit hard, right? My belief is if you find what you love it because of the challenges that you face on the journey to your own growth. What most people look at is they get into an industry because they find that it's like there's an easy path or it looks like fun. It looks like fun to the people who fucking love it. But the people who love it do it because of the challenges and their own evolution that they have by being part of that industry. It's not because it's fucking easy. Everything's hard in life. I know you just had a child. Being a parent is fucking tough, right? Because you're always learning. Running a business is tough. Having relationships tough. Having friends is tough. Making money is tough. Like, life's tough. But you have to decide what type of tough you want because that'll determine the results you're going to get. So yeah, I think all industries are broken, if that makes sense. But it's just because most people are broken and lost.
Yeah, okay. And so you work with a lot of people who are broken and lost, and specifically people in business, helping them, become the next person they need to become to run their bigger company. Mm-hmm. What do you continually see come across your plate? Like, what are the patterns that are playing out that you see entrepreneurs and business owners facing that is really stopping them from going to the next level? Because we were talking before we were recording, and I'm like, so many people are convinced that to grow their business, they need a new strategy. They need to get better at marketing or get better at sales. And especially people over, at least 20, 30, 40, 50K a month, they genuinely think that the system, the new hire or more leads or whatever's going to fix their business. That's going to help. But everything is a people problem. So I'm curious to see what are the patterns that you keep seeing with the people you coach that's stopping them from breaking through to that next level?
Yeah, so I guess these days I don't really work with people who are struggling too much. I mean, I do in a way. They're struggling to grow their business, and there's other lifestyle issues that they have. But a lot of my niche is between $1 and $10 million businesses that are scaling. And we spoke about this before. It's like the shit pit. It's between $1 and $5 million. There's just this clusterfuck that you have to deal with. You have your own identity crisis because the things that worked when you were small stop working. And if I look at a business under $1 million, you essentially need someone who's a little bit crazy, a little bit psychotic, has a large amount of energy, and just grinds. And if you can grind your ass off and you can convert some sales and you can push, like you can make $1 million a year in almost any industry. So it could be an electrician. If you've got 1 or 2 apprentices and you've got another person on the tools who's qualified, you can probably do about $1 million a year if you work reasonably hard. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. But you get to a point where you go, shit, this isn't working. So you start hiring more people and you might get to 8 or 10 staff and you go, fuck, there's all these dickheads that I'm paying. They're not following what I tell them to do. I'm telling them to do shit all the time. They're making mistakes. This is fucked. And then what they'll do is they'll downsize and scale down. And they scale down because they can't manage people. And then normally what happens is they go to these coaching programs where they go, you need a system and a process. You don't have a system problem, you have a people problem. But the thing is that you go to school, you don't learn how to communicate. So you got a communication problem. Then after that, you've got a management problem. And most people don't know how to manage people. They just go, these fucking morons, I told them what to do and they're not doing it. I don't know why. Like I've told them 5 times and they're still not doing it. Yeah, but you're telling them how to do one thing the same way 5 times and they don't understand. So you need to learn different ways of saying the same thing to different people in order to get them to respond.
Your example is like, are you speaking about different ways that people need to receive information or different personality types or?
100%. So if you look at, there's a bunch of different angles that I can go on this. If you look at communication, now this is debatable based on the scientific research, but I'll just generalize because, this is spoken about in a few different fields. But let's say around 55% of communication is body language. Mm-hmm. So if we look at how does a tradie and I don't just work with tradies, we have NDIS businesses, we've got some coaches and we've got people in the medical space, the health space and a whole bunch of different industries. Quite commonly though, we deal with trades. But let's say, so you have a tradie who normally they're not good at school, right? Mm-hmm. So most of the time, not everybody's not good at school, but most of them aren't the best at school. But what they are good at is they're good with tactile things. So they're good with their hands. They're good at figuring out how shit fits together and they're good problem solvers and all that stuff. So that's their strength. That's their superpower. But now they've hired a bunch of other people who weren't the best at school. Now at school, you're taught auditory, right? So we're taught in an auditory way. Only 30% of the population are good at auditory learning, which is right around 30% of the population do really, really well at school and then go to uni and do really well at uni.
That's interesting.
The rest of the population don't.
So they're more hands-on people.
Yeah, so you essentially have kinesthetic learners who are tactile, who learn by doing shit and learn by watching. Mm-hmm. So normally they're visual kinesthetics kinesthetic visuals. Then you've got a boss who is also visual kinesthetic, who then communicates in an auditory way. You fucking dickhead, I told you to do this way, and this doesn't fucking, I told you, yeah. Well, of course, you're communicating with them in a way that they don't understand. Mm-hmm. So show them and then get them to do it and then slowly help them improve by them doing it and they'll get it. So first of all, you've got the wrong communication style with the people that you're communicating with. Then we've got 55% of communication is body language, 33% is tonality. When old Dougie's on the tools and he's like, I fucking told you that. That's shitty tone. That makes the person or the apprentice or whatever sit there and go, I'm fucking dumb and I fuck up all the time. What's the likelihood that they're actually going to do better?
Yeah, low.
Yeah. It took me a long, long time to learn this because I used to be a shit leader. And in order to be good at something, you got to be shit at it, right?
Yeah.
So the things that I'm really good at now is like communication, leadership, human performance, all of those things. But originally I was shit at it, which is why I'm good at it now. And I put a lot of time and effort into learning those skills. Like leadership is something that you have to learn. Now, you want to build a business. There's only two ways to scale a business. You do it through people or you do it through technology. They're the only two ways to scale. Now, all these business owners, they come to me and I speak to a lot of them on the phone because I still do sales sometimes, or most weeks I still do a few sales. But let's say I speak to like some weeks 30 business owners, some weeks it's 5. But most of them will go, I just need systems. Great. You put together a workbook, which is something that you're going to give, if you're a trade-based business, you're going to give that workbook to a bunch of people who fucking hate reading.
Yeah.
And then now you're expecting them to read and then go do their job. So now you've got systems and processes. What's the likelihood they're going to follow it? 0. So then they go and they get all this coaching about how to build a business and how to build systems. They put all the systems in their business, which are shit anyway, because you've got an owner who fucking hates sitting behind a computer, forcing themselves to build a system. So the system's suboptimal anyway, because they don't like doing it. So they're doing a shit job, building a shit system in a shit business. And then they're going to give it to people who don't like reading. And then they're going to say, you didn't fucking read what I told you to do. No wonder why the business is shit. And a frame that I talk to people about all the time, I ask this question. I go, cool. So some coach out there told you that you need systems and processes in your business. I agree. The question is, should you be building the systems? And the answer is no, for 99% of people. For the 1% of people, or let's say the 5% of people who are great at operations. If you're an ops person and you start a business, build systems. If you're not an operations person and you've got to force yourself to sit behind a computer, those systems are going to be suboptimal, right? It's not your thing. You're better off making more money, hiring the right person than getting the right person to build them. People. If you look through the lens of people, almost all business problems are solved by people. And if you get good people, then your business will run well. But the reason why good people don't work for most people is because good people don't work for shit leaders. And so if you're a shit communicator and you're a shit leader and you don't know how to manage people properly because they're skills that you haven't learned and choose not to learn, then why would someone who's an A-grade high performer who's going to come in and revolutionize your business want to put up with fucking Dougie the dickhead? True?
Yeah.
So when you become a great leader, and I found this now, like my team is fucking awesome, but my team is awesome because I became awesome at leadership, management, and communication. And I was sitting there yesterday, we were talking about the podcast that I was on yesterday. And when we were talking, he brought up, he said that Tony brought up and he said, I was really surprised when you're on the phone. He said, I noticed how you spoke to your assistant. And he said, you said, I really appreciate you. Thanks heaps for everything you're doing. If you need any help, reach out to me. And if anything, I've got your back. Right? And it's because there's some challenges that are going on in the business and she'll take care of them all. I don't have to do her job. She does the job and she does it way better than I could possibly do it. That's what happens when you hire the right people. But that's why I appreciate them. I stand on their shoulders and therefore if they collapse, I fall down. So my job is to make sure that they have the environment where they can excel. And so that's my job as a leader. But people aren't taught these things. So just coming back, because there's a few things that I've got to wrap up here, and please like pull me because I could just talk for hours about this stuff. But the first thing is you have to understand people's communication styles. 30% of the population are auditory communicators, which means that they learn and they'll take feedback really, really well from verbal communication. The rest of people are normally either visual kinesthetics or kinesthetic visuals. Now, if you're, depending on the industry, depends on the types of people you attract, but most of the people I work with, they have a team full of visual kinesthetics, which means they have to see it being done and then they have to do it consistently with improvement in order to get better at it. So a lot of business owners have to rethink how they communicate with their team because the communication style is wrong in the first place. Therefore, their team are never going to perform effectively. The second thing is that if we look at 55% of communication is in body language. If a problem happens, which every day, right? I essentially wake up, I deal with problems and I go to bed. And then I wake up tomorrow. Most people see problems as being this negative emotional experience that they're trying to get away from. That's why they fail. I see problems as an opportunity for growth. It took me a long, long time to realize this. I wake up, I solve problems. If I do good, we grow. If I keep doing that, the business keeps growing. So I don't run away from problems and I don't get stressed about them. My team comes to me and they go, oh, this fucked up. And I go, that's cool. Great problem. How do we fix it? And then we try to like encapsulate this feeling of good that there's problems, not, fuck, not again. because there's this delusion that we're trying to run away from problems. And if we can solve problems and every life goes, easy, then life's better, which is bullshit. But then we're dealing with our emotions. We're not dealing with the problem. And those people are trying to deal with their emotions, not deal with life and the shit that's in front of them, which is why they don't succeed.
You know what I found very, very interesting? That 97.8% of you that listen and view this podcast haven't yet subscribed. Now, if you're looking for the one way that you can actually help us build this show into something that's going to be absolutely incredible and life-changing for you, the one thing you can do is to hit that subscribe button, because it takes a lot of time, effort, and money that we put into this podcast to make it what it is. And we've made it very clear that we never want to run ads or sponsors or anything like that on this show. So the only way that we can actually grow this channel is by subscribers. And I promise to you that if you hit that subscribe button and you help this show grow, then I'm going to continually keep bringing more, bigger, and better guests to teach you the skill set and the mindset that you wish you learned earlier in life. So please, it'll mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and do that right now. Now let's get into this episode. Well, what I've seen with so many high-performing entrepreneurs is the reason they become high-performing entrepreneurs and they like being so busy is because a nervous system thing. It's actually a trauma response. Because being younger, when everything was calm, that was unsafe and dangerous. So they learned, I'm one of these, and I learned to always be busy. So the funny thing is, it's this interesting thing where sometimes I even kid myself. I'm like, when we fix all this, the business could be great. But that calmness in itself is the thing that I don't want.
Yeah.
Like unconsciously. And sometimes I'll even find myself having a day where I'm like, I've done everything I need to do today. I'm like, oh my God, I could just stop. And I'm like, no, there's got to be something. And then I'll dive in, break something. And I'm like, and I see this cycle happen. And I call it, the high achiever syndrome paradox, where it's like, we want to do more because it feels like we haven't done enough. But the more we do, the more it feels like we still haven't done anything. And that cycle just keeps driving us to do more and more and more and more and more. This is why I love everything you're talking about, because everything is a mindset. Every problem in our business and our life comes back to we created it. But I'm curious to know, so you said before, you've become really great at communication leadership now.
Yeah.
And once upon a time, you sucked. So what was the pivotal thing for you where you realized, like, man, I'm fucking shit at this? I want to hear your...
I know the moment.
Yeah, what was this?
Can I go back just because I just want to wrap up two things and then I'll answer that question because it's a great question. What you were talking about before, if you study laws, different scientific laws and different scientific principles, and you also go back and study different philosophies, they tend to give you a lot of insight into life. I think what you're communicating there is that you're one of the wise ones that has figured out that in order to make life valuable, you have to add value. You figure that out, right? Which is why you're doing well financially and better than most people in the industry, right? So there's this internal drive in some of us that is seen by society as not healthy, but you've actually figured the path out, which is if I add value, life becomes valuable. Therefore, does sitting on the couch add value, and does it make us valuable? And the answer is no. And so then what happens is we have confusion because you've got people who live with high standards and you have the rest of society that's mediocre. Mediocre people say you work hard so you don't have to work. I work hard because that's my standard. I work hard because I love working and I love adding value and I love doing something because life's meaningful for me. I don't need alcohol and I don't need drugs and I don't need all the bullshit in order to try to make life feel good. Life is fucking great because I wake up every day, I solve problems, I add value to the world, and I'm productive. And I think what you're saying, if I can summarize it, is that you're driven to produce, which is what makes you productive, and sitting around being unproductive makes you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's what it really is. But because we're surrounded by a whole bunch of mediocrity in society, people tell you that you work too much and you need to rest. And so it creates this confusion. It's implanted values. The truth is you just like being productive and you're just a valuable dude. So
some of my happiest times,
crush it.
Like where I'm actually most calm is working.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely love it. Like, and I tried a few years ago. A mentor said to me years ago, because I didn't have a day off for about 7 years.
Yep.
And he's like, well, you're not growing your business much. Why don't you try to take some time off? And I'm like, that's fucking counterintuitive. What are you talking about? I'm like, I need 10 days in my week, not 7. He's like, well, that's not working. You can't get 10 days. That's not working. So why don't you take time off and see if that works? I'm like, it's not going to fucking work. Took 2 days off that week, made more money that week. It was my biggest week of the year. I'm like, maybe there's something to this. So then I started to play this game of trying to figure out how do I really blend in, like how do I take guilt-free time off? And I realized I don't like to have 2 full days off. I like to have kind of like 1.5-ish. So now like Sundays is always, the day with me and Simona and stuff. But there's been some days we've been sitting there at home and I'm like, what should we do today? She's like, oh, no. I go, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Because like, I just fucking want to. Like it's, and it's just like, the thing is having that day off gives the options. Like, okay, we'll either just go and have some fun or we'll go to Tambourine or whatever, or I will actually work. And that's also good as well.
Guilt is, what most people don't know is that guilt is implanted values. And so if you just navigate life where you make decisions that are right based on your mission, your purpose, and the values that you have within life, life becomes so much easier. Like I just stopped listening to a lot of external shit, right? Because my body gives me feedback. If I need a day off, I'll take a day off. But I don't really ever have, like we don't take days off.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing, right? That's stupidity and it's a delusion. Like my heart doesn't take time off. It fucking beats consistently. My life beats consistently and it's just in a consistent flow. But the thing is that there are times where my brain goes, you know what? I'm just a bit overloaded. I can't keep doing what we're doing, which is like smashing it full of stuff. So you know what? I think it's time to probably go for a walk. I go hang out with my wife. But what it does is it starts to clear things up. Now, you could call that a day off, but is it really a day off or is it actually a day that's helping me to progress? Because progress is the important thing, right? It's not, humans had this stupid fucked up idea of like putting shit in boxes, but life's integrated. It's a whole thing. And so you go, right, I'm going to go to the gym. Now, people ask me all the time, do you go to the gym every day? No, most days. There are some days I don't go though. Do I feel bad about it? No, because it's just a day that I don't want to go to the gym. Mm-hmm. People ask me, do you drink? I used to drink a lot, right? Back party days. I used to drink a lot, but if I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink. But last year, I think I had a drink once. Mm-hmm. I don't tend to categorize shit. I just live life and I enjoy life. And I go, providing I'm progressing, providing there's momentum, life's good. Now, I'm not the sort of dude that wakes up at 5 o'clock every morning. Some days I wake up at 5, some days I wake up at fucking 10. Yeah. It just is what it is. If I got shit on, then maybe I'll get up on time. But I don't know. I think too many people try to put too much shit into a box and categorize it. But labels that I understand, they're never there to define. And most people define themselves by labels and they define the way that they live by these like categories and boxes, like got to do this, got to have that, this has to happen. Then now because of like TikTok and Instagram and shit, they're like, if I do it this way, then that's wrong because of this. And they just get confused and I don't know. It's just too fucking hard.
So what's the story? You said you remember the story where you made a decision to, you're like, yep.
Yeah. So what happened was during COVID, we had, I mean, our business is still relatively small. It's not, well, one of my businesses is relatively small. The other one's, getting reasonable. I'd say it's a mid-sized business. But that's an investment. Coaching is the thing that I do. We had sort of like a decent sized staff and then COVID hit and I just found myself and my wife were just working flat out all the time. We're keeping our heads above water. We felt like we were drowning. And this one morning, I was just thinking like we'd pulled a bunch of cash out, like hundreds of thousands of dollars and put it back into the business during COVID to keep staff employed and everything like that. And I just remember walking in one day after lunch and I walked into my wife's office and she was like almost in tears. And I said, what's going on? She's like, they came back late from lunch and they're all fucking around and they're all talking all day and shit. And like, we were leaking money like a sieve and goals were behind. We weren't hitting targets. And I was like, this is fucked. Like, this is just bullshit. And so I was so angry and just frustrated that she was upset. And, she gave up her career to help my dreams come true and work on this journey like 14 years ago when we started Mojo Human Performance. And I was just thinking like, fuck, what's going on here? And so anyway, the next week I ended up pretty much firing everyone apart from one staff member, and that staff member we still have. And there was a process, like one of my mentors, he just sold a company for 1.12 billion. And he got me to write a list of all the staff's name, said rate them all A, B, C, D, E, F, G culturally, and then rate A, B, C, D, E, F, G based on whether they can deliver what they need to deliver.
A player, B player, C.
Yeah. I did all that. I rated everybody. And he said, good. Now, do you want to hear the harsh truth? And I said, yep. And he goes, good, fire everyone who's not an AA.
AA?
Yep. A culturally and A performance-wise.
Ah, okay.
So I ended up firing all my staff apart from one. And we went back to pretty much skeleton staff through COVID. We kept the business afloat. We kept doing what we're doing. And then I just remember walking into my office and I sat down on my chair in my office and I was just sitting there thinking like, fuck, why am I so shit? And it was just this like really, I don't know, like emotional place, but I think everyone goes through it, right? Like you'll go through all this struggle and then one day you have the like epiphany, but the epiphany also makes you feel like shit because you realize like either you're a fucking moron or you shit at what you're doing. And I just had this realization, like, I'm actually shit at leadership. I don't know what I'm doing. And I thought, you know what, I need to change this. And so I started reading as many leadership books as I could. I started asking a lot more questions of the mentors. Like I've always had mentors since about 21, when my sort of life changed. And yeah, I just started learning everything that I could about leadership. And it probably took about a year for me to really cement that place in my mind of what good leadership is. But it was a lot of trial and error and just trying to figure shit out. But that was the epiphany, was just sitting on the couch, sitting on my chair in my office, just going, fuck, I just don't know how to lead people. I really believe that life is a direct reflection or it's a mirror of ourselves. So if you want to know what life's like, just have a look at life. If you want to know what your thoughts are like and the way you think, just have a look at life. And if you want to have a look at who you are, have a look at the people you hang around. And, you know, I had a whole bunch of incompetent, non-performing staff that
they were the wrong hires, or they just
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Because when you're a small business owner, there's stages of business growth, right? And again, a lot of people don't really think about this stuff because they just don't know, right? They're not taught the right way. But when you first start your business, you have no idea what you're doing, right? And the business grows because you're normally good at the thing that you do. Like an electrician is normally good at their electrical trade. So then they go, oh, I'm going to hire someone. But because what's no one really talks about in society, good electricians aren't good business owners. They're two different skills. It's like being a fucking carpenter and then becoming a craniofacial surgeon. Yes, they both use saws and hammers, but they're two completely different skills, right? And so someone goes, well, because I'm self-employed or because I worked for someone, I'm going to go start my own business. 56% of businesses fail in the first 4 years. Now, no one starts a business going, I'm going to fail. Everyone starts because they go, you know what, I'm going to make this work. And they've got the big bushy tail and the courage and their chest is puffed out. I'm going to go have they have the right intention, but they have poor skill. And then what happens is they start drowning and they're in the shit fire and customers aren't paying and invoicing is incorrect. And, you know,
a lot of risk tolerance.
100%.
That's what I've seen. It's like probably what makes the best entrepreneurs is actually they're the best at their high risk tolerance.
I did a video the other day, which summarizes this, right? And my mentor, he rang me up. I was up here on the Gold Coast, and he rang me up, and I said, "Mate, what makes you call me?" Right? He right now he's running a publicly listed company in Australia. So last year they sold the company for $1.12 billion. He's the head of operations of this company, and he essentially got it ready to sell with the owner and founder. It was a private company. Then it merged into this publicly traded company, which he ended up going from, I think, 4,000 staff to 8,500 staff overnight, right? So big company. And his portfolio is $8 billion that he manages. And anyway, so he rings me and he goes, mate, just thought I'd give you a buzz. And I said, mate, what makes you want to call me over here? Because I'm a busy dude. And he goes, I was just watching one of your videos on Instagram and it just made me think of you. And I said, what was that? And he goes, you said something really powerful, and I watched it twice. I said, what was it? And he said, well, business owners all the time that start businesses, they will get stuck, and then they reach out to someone like myself or yourself, and they go, I need help. And you go, cool, here's the cost, or here's the investment. And they go, fuck, that's expensive. Okay, what are you going to do? Like, whether it's expensive or not, it's irrelevant. You need the help. It is what it is. You know, if you need heart surgery, you don't go, oh, fuck, that's expensive. You just fucking get it done, right? And then you figure out how to pay for it. Well, their business is having a fucking heart attack, and then they're having almost a heart attack in that business. And then you tell them the price to help them fix it because you're the fucking surgeon that can help them. But then they go, oh, that's expensive. And then they stall the decision. Go get a job.
Yeah.
You're not born for this game. You're going to fucking fail, or you're going to be like my dad that worked for 40 years in business, who's now just a grumpy old fuck because he just hates everything and hates everybody. Because for his whole life, all he did was just go, these fucking morons don't do shit and fuck them and fuck the industry and the government. That's how he operates. And he would grow from 4 staff up to about 10 staff because he was really good at what he did as a tradie. But then the business would collapse because you could only manage 4 people, because you can micromanage anywhere between about 4 to 8 people. And then after that, it will just shit the bed. And that's why most businesses, like it's 86 or 82% of businesses in Australia have less than 4 staff. Why? Because you can only micromanage 4 to 6 people, and you can only keep going at people before they leave, and you have high turnover, and you won't build a real business. Once you get beyond that, and once you start pushing 12, 15, 20 staff, you've got to have proper management. Yes, you do need systems, but here's something else that I say as well. And I've got 2 sort of frames, and then I know you got another question for me. But the reason why my mentor rang up was that the quote that I said was, if you say you don't have the money and you're a business owner, close your shit up and go get a job, because you don't deserve to be in business. Entrepreneurship is about dealing with a lack of resource all the fucking time. Every day, all I do is wake up, and I'm assuming you do too. There's always more shit that you need, right? I need more people. Great. Now I hire more people. I go, fuck, I've got to pay them. Now I don't have enough money. So now I've got to figure out how to do more sales in order to get more money. But then you do sales and you go, shit, we're still not collecting cash. So now you got a cash flow problem. So then after that, you go, cool, I'm going to hire more salespeople. You close more sales, and then you go, shit, I need to make more money in order to pay them, but also I need more leads. So now you've got a lead problem. All we ever do is business is just going from constraint to constraint to constraint to constraint. So if you can't figure out how to make money in the business that you have, and you use that as an excuse, just shut your shit up and go get a job. Now, people don't want to hear that, right? But I just don't fucking care, because that's business. And great business owners know that money is never an excuse. It's not an excuse. Staff is not an excuse. Your job is to turn those excuses into opportunities. And that's why we're here. That's the game. Okay. But if you don't want to play the game, don't play the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first thing. And then there was something else that I meant to get onto, but I'll probably remember it.
So funny. You're so much like me. It's so funny. Because it's like you got so much to teach. And like when I'm like open loop. I love it. What I'm curious to know is, so you can micromanage 4 to 8 people.
Yep.
What is actually missing? Like what's needed to actually start to really what's the structure needed to really get your team rowing in the same direction, where you're not micromanaging all these people? Like, how do you grow these bigger teams?
Great question. Actually, that was the second part that you triggered my brain. So all these knuckleheads out there that sell systems, and they go, systems the solution to business. If that's true, the two
or
most... Well, AI definitely helps, but you've got to have the right implementers within the team, or the right ops people, in order to build the AI out.
So I say, like, AI is not going to fix your brain.
No.
AI is not going to fix your model either. It might it'll streamline your problems too.
100% it does. So I use this frame all the time when someone goes, oh yeah, no, I just need more systems. And I go, cool, what are the most systemized businesses in this country? What are they?
McDonald's?
That's definitely one. But that's a frame that a lot of business coaches use. They go, have a look at McDonald's, and they sell the McDonald's franchise. Motherfucker, it was built in the 1950s. Labor was cheap, right? You can hire school kids. Now, school kids don't want to work, so they have to use technology in order to do that. Also, yes, McDonald's is profitable, but they were able to spend shit tons of money on branding and marketing and all that type of stuff. We're in a completely different world with completely different people, with completely different expectations, in a completely different era. McDonald's is fucking gone. You can try and start a business today and make, how many businesses have tried to replicate McDonald's and they shut the bed?
Yeah.
There's thousands of them every year. The most systemized businesses in Australia are banks and government agencies. Now, my question to you is, when you go to banks and you go to government agencies, or you got to call up a government department, what's your emotional connection to that business?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Horrible, right?
Yeah.
But all these people go, systems. Systems make businesses great. Bullshit. Systems make businesses most of the time more shit. And I'm not saying that there aren't a place for systems, but it's like a car, right? There's a place for cars. You put shit people in a car, they're going to crash it. You put good people in a car and they fucking race it. If you want to build a business like a race team, you got to put good people in the right places and the right positions in order to excel. Then what happens is, and this is, I'll morph into the question that you just asked. The way that you think through a business changes from startup to scale. Startup is, oh shit, I need to keep this thing alive and I need to give it oxygen. And most of the time, oxygen is sales. It's doing the job or delivery. And so all you do is you sell like a motherfucker, you make as much money as you can, and you keep putting it into delivery. And you start to hire people. But what will happen is when you start to hire people, eventually you realize that you're shit at communicating, you're shit at management, you're shit at leadership, and leadership and management aren't the same skills. I'm a great leader. I'm not a good manager.
That's why I realized the exact same thing. I'm like, I'm a great leader, horrible manager. Manager is probably one of my weakest. Leadership, I'm on.
I hate it.
Yeah.
My general manager, she's my head of people. She's fantastic because she gets a paycheck to solve those problems. She doesn't have the emotional connection to a lot of the cash flow constraints and all that stuff. So I have to wake up every morning, deal with cash flow constraints, people problems, all of that sort of stuff. And so there's this pressure of dealing with big problems. I don't want to fucking wake up in the morning and have someone send me a text message and go, I'm not coming into work today because my cat's sick. I couldn't give a fuck about whether your cat's sick or not. Just get to work. That's how my brain thinks. Now, some people are like, oh, that's not, but I'm not a good manager of people.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a good leader of people. So I get in, I'm intense. I've got the energy. I sell the vision. They're like, woo, we're coming to work. They love the fact that I'm there as a leader. They don't like the fact that I'm there as a manager. My manager of people, she comes to work every day, comes in, she's just chirpy and cheery, and she just gets in there and goes, okay, cool, there's a whole bunch of problems today. Yep, your cat's sick. That's okay. We'll deal with that. And she's just very calm and relaxed.
Yeah.
I think you need both in order to have a great business. There's a great book called Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman. And he talks a lot about those two types of personalities, and all good businesses have those two types of personalities. You know, the visionary and the integrator or the implementer. I'm a great visionary, not great implementer, but that's also why I see opportunities that other people don't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm great at dealing with, I can help solve staff's problems, but I don't want to, like, you know, someone's kids are sick and they're away from, like, okay, yep, cool. You know, I don't really want to know that shit. Like, just if they're off, they're off. If they're here, they're here. But I don't want to have conversations back and forth about this shit. You know, my staff come to work and they talk about the weather and shit. I'm like, I don't want to talk about weather. I just want to get to work. It's just different personalities, and you need both. So it's not, one's not good and one's not bad. It's just they're different.
They got to go together.
Yeah.
I watched a really good movie the other day. I forget what it's called, but it was about Blackberry. It might be called Blackberry.
Yeah, it's Blackberry. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, I was watching that, I was like, oh my God, like this should be, every entrepreneur should watch this movie to see what happens when you have shit personalities in the company, but then what happens when you bolt in the right people in balance.
Yeah.
Because know how crap that company was going when they're all just little tech geeks, they're all like each other and they tolerated such a shit standard. Then they bring in this just shark. And he's the CEO. He's like, get this on the call, get this person on the call. And he's just bang, bang. He's just dialing, sales. He was never at the office, on an airplane, meeting, deal, negotiation. And he's out there causing problems. Good. Okay, get 2 million phones on the server now. Go. And then he's selling. And they're like, what do you mean he's doing? It's like this balance of he's causing problems here, but then they've got to fix it. I'm like, that's what grows a great company. It's absolute just mess. And they were one of the biggest and fastest growing. They were the best smartphone on the planet. And then obviously, I'm not going to spoil it. How I should watch the movie, but that was incredible to see these personalities play out.
It does to a point. Like, we've got to be careful watching some of those types of movies as well, because, you know, being someone who, I guess you could say, you know, I'm an expert at human behavior and human performance. When I watch those movies, you have to understand the perspective of them. You know, it's like looking at a large company, right? So let's say you're talking about a scaling company. The problems that a scaling business has, which a lot of the challenge they have are people problems. That's different than startup. Startup, a lot of people start a business and then like week one, they start a business and they're like, I need to build a business plan. I need to build a process. It's fucking stupid. You haven't even got your first sale. Like the moment you run out of money, you're gone. Business is gone. So you're most at startup. Number one thing is like product to market fit. Make sure you got a good product and make sure you can sell it. Then sell the shit out of it. Make as much money as you can and then start to hire better people to fix problems. But people have fantasies about like what business should look like because they think that if you streamline everything, it'll work more effectively. And it does to a point, but we're talking different size businesses. Myself and my mentor were having a chat last week, and a lot of the stuff that I do these days is like a lot of leadership training, development training, especially in scaling businesses as they start to develop, you know, different companies or acquire different businesses and so on. And he said, my manager asked, why don't we start to push into a bit more corporate speaking? And I said, I fucking hate corporates. And he said, mate, you would die in the corporate world. And she said, oh, why is that? And he goes, because corporates talk about change, but they don't like change because change freaks people out.
Yeah.
And so corporate business, they have a different, most of the time, they've got market share and they're so heavy. They're like a bulldozer going downhill. Even if you stand in front of them, they just keep pushing everything forward. That doesn't happen in smaller business. Like if you've got 20, 30, 50 staff, you've got to push that fucking thing all the time. Like you've got to be on, you're solving a constraint, next constraint, next constraint, next constraint. Change is happening all the time. You can't have people in the business who don't want to change. Like you can't have maintainers. Maintainers are great for government departments where there's a lot of bureaucracy in corporate business. There's a lot of politics and all that. Maintainers are great. Very rarely in small business are maintainers good. So you've got to be careful of who you hire.
What are you looking for when you're hiring then? Because I nearly hired this woman last year, or this year, I think. We're looking for a new marketing manager, and she ticked all the boxes. She was amazing.
Yeah.
And then in one of the interviews I did with her, I'm like, so tell me about like where you see yourself in a year? Like what are some of your goals? And she's like, well, honestly, I just want to, I'm really excited to get in and just have a really good career. I said, well, yeah, what's your career? What's your career goals? She's like, I really like marketing. I just want to, I just want to be a good marketing manager. I said, yeah, but what else? It's like, I just good, stable career. I'm like, oh, fuck, this girl doesn't want to grow.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I'm like, we are growing so fast here. Your job today is going to be different in 9 months.
Yeah.
And I knew, I was like, she was the best applicant at the time. I'm like, oh my God, she's not going to be great, but maybe, we'll get her through a 6 month, or move into social media or something. And then I gave her a test project, and the entire thing came back written by ChatGPT.
Yep.
And I looked at it, I said, this motherfucker, I said, like, I'm not an idiot. And then I got to the bottom of it and then called her out on it. She's like, oh, work smart, not harder. I said, oh yeah, cool. It's not going to work for you here.
Yeah.
It's not going to work here at all. You're going to hate me and the job and everything. So like, because I've started to just read patterns. So what are you sort of looking for? Like me, when I'm looking to hire people, I'm looking for, you familiar with spiral dynamics?
Yeah.
More people open to valuable 5 thinking, but 4 behavior still.
Yep.
Because they can still be a corporate sort of person with the rules, but ambitious thinking and wanting to grow. So what are you kind of looking for? Like, how do we hire the right people, especially in the startup? Like if people are looking to hire the first person, second person, third person, what are we looking for? And what are the most pivotal hires to be making?
Look, I wish I had a really simple answer, because if it was that simple, everyone would be crushing in business, right? The thing is, it depends. It depends on the business. It depends on the industry that you're in. It really depends. Like, I've made a lot of shit hiring decisions over the years. I've lost millions on just shitty hires. So you get good at something by being shit at it first. I'll keep going back to that. One of the things that I say to all my community is every time you do something, just start shit. Because most people try to start good, and that's why they're crap, and then they fail because they put too much pressure on themselves. Just start shit, like be shit at something, and then you'll get good at it. And someone, like, I had a community member a while ago, I said, you need to post more on social media. And then they came to me a little while later, and they're like, oh man, I posted, but the video was shit. And I'm like, cool, you're doing the right thing. Now make the next shit one, and then make the next shit one, and then keep making more shit ones, and eventually you'll get good ones. It relieves the pressure. But let's go to hiring, right? So there's a few things that I think might help the audience or whoever's listening. First things first, when you're hiring, you're essentially dating. Yeah. Now, when you're needy, imagine dating someone who's needy. Fucking horrible, right? They're going to suck the life out of you. We've all been there, right? We've all dated that needy person that just, they're clingy and shit. You don't want someone who needs a job, right? You want someone who thrives in an environment. But you've got to be honest about the environment. Now, there's something that I teach quite a lot. That is, you've got to know the difference between love and passion. The word passion means to suffer. If you go and look at etymology, or you just type in the word passion and meaning, it means to suffer. Love is an integration, and DeMartini talks a lot about this. Love is an integration of both sides. So, I assume, you love your partner and you love your daughter. Do you have a daughter? Son? You love your son, but I already know that having a young son, I
hate him as well.
There's a dream and a nightmare, right? And with my wife, she's my best friend and my worst enemy. But that's love. So love is an integration of both sides, because you actually get a whole person. When we're passionate about things and you start dating, you date half of a person because they're only showing you their good side. But the longer you date them, the more you realize that they've got a dark side, or what Carl Jung calls a shadow. And the shadow is the shit that we hide. Now, when you go into the hiring process, you got to ask yourself, what are they showing? And they're going to show you all the good shit. And then what happens is you have a person who comes to an interview who's over-exaggerating all their great traits. And then you have a business owner who's also a douchebag and over-exaggerates how great the business is. Here, anyone who's listening to this who is a business owner, this here will make you $1 million at least if you just listen to this one line. And that is, you only hire people to solve problems. So you have to define, what problem am I hiring you to solve? Full stop. So, and it's one problem. It's not 20 problems. So a massive problem that a lot of business owners have is they go out and they go, I need a marketing person. They go, oh, what does a marketing person do? Well, they should do website design. Okay, yep, cool. And then you look on Seek or any of the, they should be able to do some graphic design. So I'll throw that in. Oh, and they do Facebook ads. So I'll throw that in. And what you do is you end up with a car with airplane wings and a boat motor on the back. It's a piece of shit that does nothing well, right? What you want is you want, like everyone knows, if you want a nice ride in a car, you buy a Rolls Royce, right? Because they're built for luxury. They're built for comfort. If you want to go fast, you buy a Ferrari or a Lambo or something like that, right? But you don't get the luxury of a Rolls Royce in a Lambo, but they're uncomfortable, right? I got supercars and yes, they're bumpy. People get in my car and they're like, man, this is like, you feel every bump. And I'm like, no shit, because it's a race car for the road. Whereas you get in a Rolls Royce, it's essentially a lounge room seat on the road.
Yeah.
They're two completely different things. You don't get both of them together. When people hire, they tend to think of like, how do I get both of them together? And now you're essentially sitting there, and when you're hiring someone, you go, what problem are they solving? So I just hired a sales guy. The sales guy, the only problem I give a fuck about that he solves is put money in my bank. Done. Because we're a fast growth company. We're sucking up cash quick. I need cash to grow, to put into, to make sure everyone's getting paid well, to make sure everyone's getting looked after, and also to give us profit so we can keep growing. So I don't care whether you get $400 million in contracts. Don't care. Contracts mean nothing. Cash in the bank means everything. So put money in the bank. So I'm going to judge you on how well you put money in the bank, because that's what I'm hiring you for. If I'm hiring a marketing person, the question is, am I trying to get attention on social media? Because if I'm hiring you and your job is to get attention, that's your job. But if I'm hiring you to get lead generation and generate leads, then the only job I'm hiring you for is leads. You can do Facebook and shit if you want. But at the end of the day, the thing that I'm judging you on is how well you can put leads in the pipeline.
You're picking just one.
One problem, because that's what you're going to be great at. If you don't, you get the car with a boat engine on the back and also airplane wings, which then just makes it a piece of shit that doesn't do anything well. Yes, they can do other things as well. But what you want to know is, like, if we go back to the Pareto principle, right, the 80-20 principle, are 80% of your skills dialed in and honed in on that one core function, versus are we just going to split it all amongst like 15 different functions within the business, and you're not really going to excel at anything, but you're just sort of like doing stuff. You can't do that when you've got a fast growth business. You have to like have people dialed into one thing. And yeah, my sales guy comes to me and he goes, hey, I've thought about this stuff, and what we should do is do this for lead generation. I go, yep, cool. Love the idea. I'll pass that on to the rest of the team. Now, if I can, how many calls have we done today? Okay, cool. Yep, you're doing a great job. Let me know how you go with the rest of the calls by the end of the day, and I'll get that other stuff sorted out for you. I take it off his hand. I go, you go back and do your shit. And then I pass that on to the right people, because a lot of the time people want to help and they'll get distracted by other people's shit instead of just doing the thing that they're hired to do. I understand that we all want to help. That's what a team is. But at the end of the day, we help by playing the position that we play in the team, right? By pointing out what other people could be doing better, we're just distracting ourselves from the shit that we're not doing. And so I keep the team pretty tight on that. So coming back to hiring, got to hire people for one problem specifically. And yes, there is other functions that they can do, but you need to know the one problem that they're responsible for solving. And that's how you create great accountability in a team. Number two is that when you date the person, which is the interview process, go through, do first interview, second interview, and potentially even third. What you want to say in the interview, and this is, again, here's another $1 million for every listener here. You have to define what the problem is that they're going to solve, and then ask them how they're going to solve it and see how they respond. Because if you say to them, hey, look, we've got a lead generation problem. Here's the software that we use. Here's everything like that. At the moment, we need to get an extra 4,000 leads a month. How would you solve that problem? And then you sit there and you watch. If they go, oh, I need to get in, I sort of need to look at like, no, you don't, motherfucker, give me the answer. Because if they can't answer it, they're not going to be able to solve it. So now you're going to have someone sitting there who's going to fuck around for the next 4 months and not do anything. And then you're going to fire them in 6 months. someone who's highly competent, like someone who hires me, they come to me and they go, here's the problem. I can sit there and literally go, okay, here's 5 questions, bang, that's how you solve it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, because I'm good at what I do. So someone who's highly competent will know exactly how to solve that problem because I've done it before. So that's number 2. Number 3 is after you get to the second or third interview and you've normally figured out whether they can solve the problem or not, I normally do culture. So culture is the most important thing. My job as the leader of the company is to protect the culture and the environment of work. That's what I do. So I will not let someone who is highly competent, who comes into our team, who's crushing it, if they're a shit culture fit, I'll fire them.
Yeah.
Culture first, because the environment creates the growth. So I want to make sure they're a culture fit. Next thing, can they solve the problem that I'm hiring them for? And then in either the second or the third interview, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them that everything's worse than what it really is, which is the opposite of what everyone else does. It's really great working here. Oh, it's so fun. Like, we will get along. We go out and we have beers on Friday. Okay. Oh, and the compensation's great. And we get paid really, really well. And you get long 4-day work weeks. You can work from home. Great. You're telling them all the shit about how not to work.
Overpromising and delivering.
Yeah. Here's what I said. So only recently, actually, I've hired 2 really good roles. But my EA, who has now become my head of people within like 6 weeks or 8 weeks of hiring her, I was doing a sale and she was sitting there just watching and I had her on a trial. And anyway, I said, what did you think of the sale? And she said, fuck, that was brilliant. Like the way you just sort of gave examples and things like that. And like, she's like, here's all the structures that I was building out, because if we're going to hire salespeople, they need to know how you sell. And so she was already structuring shit out for me while she was sitting there. And I was like, fuck, this is good. Then I said, look, I've been thinking about this. I would love to give you the job, but here's the truth. I'm horrible at time management. My calendar's fucked up. Like, it's all a mess. I've got shit tons of emails sitting in my inbox. The Google Drive has crap everywhere. Stuff's not put in boxes or in the right files. It's a fucking mess. And I said, look, if you come on board, this is all the shit you're going to be dealing with. And she looks at me and she smiles and she goes, I love all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Got the right person. Every one of us loves solving problems in the area that we're good at. Like, I personally couldn't be a paramedic. I couldn't handle going somewhere where someone's in pain and shit like that and having to deal with blood pissing out everywhere. Having worked in physical rehab, I love watching like surgeries and shit like that, but the person's knocked out and they're not moving around. I couldn't handle being a paramedic. But the paramedics I've worked with who have come to my events before, they love it because they love that problem.
Yeah.
They love that chaos. To them, that chaos gives a meaning and purpose. We've got to find people who see the problems in our business and they go, this is meaningful and this is purposeful to me. And that's what I love to do. And I get people who ask me all the time, how do you deal with human behavior? Like, you're dealing with people. I'm like, yeah, I love it. And they go, yeah, but you got to hear about all their problems. I don't hear problems. Well, I do, but I don't. All I see is like, here's an obstacle and here's how we're going to overcome it. And you asked me before about hiring. I normally try not to do hiring because the weakness that I have in hiring, and every person has strengths and weaknesses, and also every decision has consequences. The decision of putting me in hiring is a really fucking bad idea, because the thing that makes me a great coach is the thing that makes me shit at hiring. And that is, I see the best in people.
You're the exact same as me.
Yep.
The amount of people I've hired, and I'm like, they are brilliant. They're amazing. They were so, and then my partner will see them. She's like, why the fuck did you hire them? I'm like, but no. I made a little mistake, but I analyze them. Look, I'm good at what I do. It's what I do, right? And it took me a while, and I'm like, so what I've put in now is I created logical process on how to do the hiring process. So my team will do the first round.
Yep.
And they only send me the ones that they think have like ticked the box. Then I watch a video on 2x speed, and then I'm putting my head, I'm looking for a values fit.
Yep.
Values fit of the company, and then 2 to 2. That's helped hiring people, because otherwise from the get-go, I'm like, everyone's amazing. Wow, you're so good. It's all right, you're a little bit late. I mean, I'm in late sometimes too.
When you watch for a values fit, what do you look for? Because me and Tony had this yesterday, and I gave him a bit of something that he'd never heard of before, but I just want to see how you look for it.
I'm also trying to elicit life values and career values.
Okay.
I'm like, and so I'm like, so Tony, in the context of your life, like, what's most important to you? And they can tell me the things that they think I should hear, growth. And I say, except for family, what's important for you? I'm looking for when they say growth and stuff like this. And I say, tell me, when did you know that was important to you? So then that's going to help me determine if that was a made up one or not.
Yep.
So if someone who genuinely values growth, they'll be able to tell me lots of times, well, back in school, I love being the school captain. Oh, I like being doing these things. I'm looking for just traits.
Yeah.
And then if it aligns like that, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm listening to how they say things, not what they say, but how they say it. Yeah. Why? What do you do?
Something that I discovered many, many years ago, and I spent a lot of time with Dean Martini, but I also spent a lot of time in studying axiology and studying research papers and stuff like that. What I found is the easiest way to understand a person's values is just see what their life demonstrates. It's that simple. So what I do is I normally ask people like, cool, so you got much going on on the weekend? Like if it's Monday, I'm like, okay, cool. So like, how's your weekend? What'd you get up to? Because their life demonstrates their values. If they have a standard work week or a standard week, their life demonstrates their values. The problem is like when you ask questions, and this is what I found with values testing, when you use like external values tests and things like that, and there's plenty of them out there, or, in the way that values has been taught for so long. Normally when you ask someone what's important to them, they'll tell you what is partially their values, but also what are their fantasies. Because some people be like, oh yeah, like I love like hanging out with people. Or, no, they'll say things like, if you ask them what's important, they're like, oh, family's important. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a high value, right? Because I would assume, and I could be wrong with this, but based on just a quick little interaction we've had, I would assume that your wife or partner has a higher value on family and kid or a child than you, because you put in more hours at work than what you do spending time with family, which means that in the values priority order, and there's two things that I'll come back to. Remind me to talk about Maslow's hierarchy. But when we look at values, the reason why most people conflicted, because first of all, they go in, actually I'll go down this path. Maslow's hierarchy, if you look at it, down the bottom, you've got the psychological needs and I guess you could say some of the like survival needs and so on. When people talk about values, they normally drop straight into survival mode. So they go, yeah, but if my kids were sick, I'd give up everything. Yeah, but they're not fucking sick. We live in Australia, so they're fine. You're dropping back into survival needs when you give that answer, versus if you go into the social needs or the belonging needs, I guess, which are in the middle, then that's going to be a different answer. But if you want to get to self-actualization, which is at the top, the question is, where do you spend most of your time and where you're most fulfilled? And so you're most fulfilled from what I've gathered in working, and family then integrates into part of that, but it's a lower value than career or work or business or money or whatever it is. So when you look at what a person's life demonstrates, it's the easiest way to tell what the values are, and you clear out all the other bullshit and all of their ideas and ideals and beliefs that they've got around what values should be and what they think it should be and what people want to hear. And then also all the implanted values of the fantasies that they have of like life should be this way. It just clears all that shit out. So I'll say to someone, what do you get up to on the weekend? Or, it's Monday. What'd you get up to on the weekend? Oh, I spent time with family. Oh, cool. Spent a fair bit of time with family. Yeah, spent a fair bit of time. What else did you get up to? Oh, I spent time with friends. Oh, okay. What'd you do? Oh, we got like water skiing and do this sort of stuff. So like friends and family are super important, right? Yep, they're important. Okay, cool. And then what about work? Like, what does a standard work week look like? And they go, okay, well, I normally start at 6 o'clock in the morning and I finish at 9 o'clock most nights. And I go, okay, cool. If you look at a standard work week, they're spending more time working than they are with family and friends. So the truth is that career or something like that is actually a higher value than friends and family. And people say shit like, yeah, but you've got to work to make money. No, you don't. Because Dougie woke up this morning, walked to to 1:30 now. Dougie will wake up, he'll walk to the fridge at 1:30 in the afternoon, get last night's pizza, smoke a bong, and sit there and watch Jerry Springer all day on TV, and has he doesn't give a fuck about working.
Yeah.
We project what we think everyone else is like based on our own values. So people who are career driven think that they only work to make money so that they can support their other values, which is true, but they work first so they can support the other values.
Yeah. So
yeah, I just normally ask what their life demonstrates. And if you just get talking to them and pick up the order, you pick up the values really, really quickly.
All right.
Yeah.
How would you describe leadership in one word?
Hard. Well, it's not
Getting kicked in the nuts.
Well, one of the clients that I've worked with, and he's a good friend of mine now, and he does some coaching with me. His name's Damien Ryder, and he's got 20 world records, and he's like ultra marathon runner and endurance athlete, and he does like crazy shit. At the moment, he's training to compete on the longest golf course in the world, which is from Perth to Adelaide. and he's going to run it and play the golf course, which is, the longest one in the world. And I think it should take 27 days, and he's going to try to do it in 7. So he does these crazy world records. Anyway, we were just having a chat a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, and he said, how's everything going? And I said, I've been working hard. And he goes, why hard? And I went, oh, interesting. And he said, mate, shit doesn't have to be hard. We make it hard because we put the emotion onto the work. You don't need to put the emotion onto the work. It's just work. So I think like when leadership doesn't have to be hard, but I think the hard part is that you have to consistently evolve. You have to evolve with the team. You have to learn how to understand people. Like great leadership is really human behavior. It's understanding how you're dealing with people all the time. And this is why I say like business is 80 to 90% human behavior, and it's like 10% strategy. Yeah, all these fucking coaches out there sell like strategy and system and process, and they're always selling the secret sauce when the secret sauce is fucking people. Because 80 to 90% of all your problems are going to be people problems. You look at sales, you spend 80 to 90% of your time dealing with people. So if you've got a sales and a cash flow problem, you got a people problem. The better you read people and the better you learn how to communicate with people, the more sales you make. Same with marketing, right? Marketing is influence. Who the fuck are you influencing? You're influencing people. Leadership is exactly the same. The more you learn about people and the more you learn about yourself, the better you are at leadership. And all leadership is self-leadership. People watch what you do. They don't listen to what you say. So if you want to be a great leader, then you have to be a great leader. And just before we go on to the next question that you've got, I had a guy a little while ago, he said he was running a sales team, and he said, man, these people, my staff are just so fucking undisciplined. And I said, where are you undisciplined? And he goes, no, I'm disciplined. I get to work every day. I'm there early. I leave late. I put all my shit in the CRM. And he's like, but these guys, they just don't put their shit in the CRM. I said, that's not the question that I asked. I said, where are you undisciplined? And he said, I am disciplined. He was only disciplined in the area of sales. The dude looked like he was 6 months pregnant. He had this fat little pot belly. He looked like shit. He didn't look after himself. Now imagine a dude walking up to you telling you that you need to be more disciplined, and you look at him and you're like, dude, you're the most undisciplined fucking person I know. They're not thinking sales. They don't make it specific. We generalize things. And so, all leadership is self-leadership, and people watch what you do. They don't listen to what you say. So if you want to be a great leader, you just got to, number one, work on yourself. And then number two, understand yourself and then people. If you do that, I guarantee business will grow. Yep.
What's been the best book you've read?
I get asked this question a lot. The truth is that there isn't one. I think at different moments in time, we have different needs for different knowledge and different information. When I first started, I remember, I was a fucking piece of shit when I was like 21. My best friend's 3-year-old niece was killed in a car accident. And I was watching this little white coffin going into the ground, just going, fuck, how can life just be taken away like that? I was diesel mechanic, drinking all the time. And Tony Robbins popped up on the TV's audio product. And I was completely against all that shit. So I get where a lot of people come from in society around like personal development's a scam and shit. But I was that guy. I was just hypercritical, fucking hated life, hated everybody. Everyone was a prick. And this guy comes on TV telling me that I can change my life. And I was just at such a shitty low point. I was like, you know what, fuck this. And I got out of bed. I had like $230 in my bank account, and the program was $229. And I knew I had to put fuel in the car to get to work the next morning, but I swung my balls like I should and made a decision. And I had $1 left to get to work the next day and no fuel in the car. But I ordered this program. That there was probably the most empowering thing that I've ever done, because it put me on a different trajectory, and it taught me that when your back's against the wall, you have to make the step up decision, not the stay the same decision. And most people, when their back's against the wall, they make the stay the same decision because it's the easiest one, but it's also the one that's going to keep them in the same position. And it happens every level of life. You'll have that same challenge at every level. But anyway, then after that, I think when I went through, The Secret was like an eye-opener for me, because I'd never really thought about that if we can change our thoughts, then we can change what we attract into our life.
So it was a game changer for me as well. I was like, you're telling me that I create all this?
Yeah.
What?
So that was interesting. We spoke about a friend of ours. He wrote a book called What I Wish School Taught Me But Never Did, or something like that. And I bought that book. It was like $1 on eBay.
Who's that?
Jamie.
Oh, it's Jamie.
Yeah. What I Wish I Knew at School.
Right.
Yeah. What I Wish I Learned at School and Didn't, or something like that. It was a big thick book that he had. And I remember reading that and also watching the DVD, and I was like, I'm going to meet that guy one day. And obviously I became friends with him and things like that. But I think at every point in life, there was a different thing. Like I went through a stage where personal development, it started where personal development, I just needed to know that I could change the way that I think. And if I changed the way I think, I could change my actions. I'd never thought about that before 21. Then I did shitloads of personal development, and I traveled around the country doing a lot of personal development, and I spent almost every cent that I had. And then I started studying like kinesiology, nutrition, and because I got into the personal training industry. But then I came across spirituality and then started reading the Louise L. Hay stuff. And then that's when I came across Joe Dispenza like 15 years ago, maybe even longer. And I started doing all that stuff. And then I was like, man, there's massive gaps in the spirituality industry. Like it's all good to sort of think that way, but you know, there's a lot of huge gaps in that stuff. And I won't go into detail about it, but there's just massive gaps. And then after that, I started studying advanced sciences. Then after that, I was like, there's gaps in that. So then I started studying ancient philosophy and then sort of bridging the gap between ancient philosophy and modern science. And, you know, I guess the journey the whole way along, the books have been relative to the problems that I've been trying to solve and to the shit that I've been trying to figure out. I'm a practical guy. So shit works or it doesn't work. Like it's fair enough to say, like I see people do this shit all the time, right? Like, oh, you know, we attract who we are and you've got to be able to manifest things. And I'm like, you've manifested a fucking shit life, so shut up, right? Like you've manifested being broke, right? Because you reached out to me and you said, I want to do one of your programs, and you talk about manifestation on your fucking Facebook page. But then at the same time, you come to do one of my events and tell me you don't have any money. You manifested that based on your own beliefs. So maybe either you need to update your beliefs or update the way that you live. One of those two things. What are we going to do here? Because you can't keep bullshitting yourself like that because it's keeping you stuck. But most people don't want to hear that because I challenge the fuck out of them. But, you know, it is what it is. But that also comes down to, you mentioned spiral dynamics before. Different people learn things based on their spiral, right? So purple spirals will go for their airy-fairy hippy-dippy shit. But at the same time, there's no system and structure. So they float through life and don't really, they'll do okay, but they do okay selling to other fluffy duffies.
Yeah.
If they won't sell to blue spirals and they won't sell to orange spirals. And so there's a whole bunch of the spirituality community that call themselves entrepreneurs, but they're not really. The real entrepreneurs are orange spirals. They might sell to purples, but most purples sell to purples because they convince each other of the same shit and just some people are more entrepreneurial. But then they won't sell to blue and orange spirals. Then you've got the blue spirals, which are very systemized and structured. They will then sell to their own spirals as well. So yeah, my point is that whatever you study and whatever you learn depends on the spiral. And the more you move up the spirals, the more you understand the different ways to sell to multiple spirals. So orange spirals are good at selling to blues and orange.
They'll sell to all of them because they understand the system.
Yeah, or purples or reds. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love it.
One book, but there's fucking heaps. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Have you got one that stands out on leadership specifically? If you had to pick one.
Fuck. I don't know. All leadership, self-leadership. So I don't know, like maybe Marcus Aurelius Meditations, but when you read that, make sure any words you don't understand, go and study etymology, because like in there he clearly mentions like avoid the passions, but people read it and they're like, they just glaze over it, and then they'll talk about Marcus Aurelius and then they say go find your passions and follow your passions. Marcus Aurelius never said that. The word passion means to suffer. He knew that, so he didn't mislabel it. Yeah, there's just, I don't know. There's lots of good books. I think great philosophies, great autobiographies. It just depends what you need. Like what the real thing is, if you're going to read a book or you're going to study something, the question is, what's my biggest problem in life? Who's the author or who's the person that I resonate the most with at this point in time, and how can they help me solve that problem? If you just do that, then you just keep learning through different authors versus staying stuck in the same author and becoming a little cult figure of that author. Yeah.
I love it, man. So this has been fun as. So thanks for coming on. Where can everyone find you on social media?
If you just Google Michael Mojo, it's easy. You'll find me on there, and then my social media will be on there. Normally, if you look up Michael Mojo _success, you'll find me on there. Some of my threads are Michael Mojo 00, I think. Yeah. But just Google it. Look, in 2025, if you can't find somebody that you're looking for, you got a fucking problem.
Shouldn't be in business.
Yeah, and probably if you can't find me by Googling it, then you're probably not meant to find me, and it's best that you don't find me. You're right.
I love it. All right, so to wrap this up, final question. If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give him 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
Go harder, don't give up, and don't be driven by fantasies. The truth is that everyone's fucked up, and the truth is that everyone's gone through their own shit, and the truth is that you're on your own journey. So just fucking stay on it and keep going and enjoy the process.